TIFU by assuming my son didn't like his computer I got him. Turns out he loves it dearly. TIFU. About 3 years ago I got my son. 16 then. 19 now. All the components needed to build a computer. He'd gotten super into it and wanted to build one. My husband had gotten a big bonus and we wanted to splurge on our kids. He has high-functioning autism and he struggled with mental health. When he was about 16 I could tell he wasn't doing okay. And I would straight ask him and would always shy away. No matter how much I tried and what I did. I didn't think this computer would just fix his sadness. But I was hoping it would make him happy, and it did. A lot more than I previously thought. His old computer could barely run his favorite games. So around Christmas I asked his brother to ask him some questions about what he wanted for a computer, and we got it out of him nonchalantly. I later ordered the parts and Christmas rolled around. When he opened them he was less happy than I expected. It surprised me. I thought he would cry, but he didn't. He was visibly happy, but not as much as I expected. He later built his computer and played on it all the time. He still uses it all the time. That brings us to today. He was on break from college and brought his girlfriend over. We were talking and he brought up that computer. He was talking about how it changed him and made us exponentially happier than he had ever been. I was surprised by this statement. I brought up how he didn't seem as happy as he described, and he said something that made me almost cry. That computer was about the only reason I didn't kill myself. I knew he always struggled with mental health, but that really caught me off guard. And it also got his girlfriend too. She seemed like she'd never heard anything like this from him before. He said that and everyone at the house tensed up. It got really awkward and he realized what he did. We just ate then watched TV until it was time for him to go back to his place. We said we love each other and he went on his way. He did seem a bit frustrated at me. And his girlfriend simply mad. That's the last I've heard of him since, and I'm not sure how to approach it. TLDR. I thought my son was only mildly happy with his computer I got him, but it actually made his mental health improve. Now they're mad at me for my assumption. You should consider whether it would be beneficial to explicitly bring up, at least, the following: that you were unaware that he was in such a bad place mentally, that you did not have the time to process the information during dinner time, that you are glad that he became happier, and that you want him to be happy. Don't tiptoe around these things. Be explicit about your feelings. And help him understand that you don't blame him for keeping you informed about his life. As a parent, you want that. Signed, a son who loves talking to his parents about heavy topics. And a father who wants to talk to his children about heavy topics in the future. Are you sure he's mad? Because you were also sure he didn't really like the computer. Not sure how misinterpreting an emotional reaction from someone on the spectrum is any reason for anybody to be upset. May as well be pissed that it gets dark for several hours every day. Your son admitted he had been suicidal. And sounds like everyone's reaction was to mostly ignore it? I can see why he might be upset and or hard to read. He said that and everyone at the house tensed up. It got really awkward and he realized what he did. We just ate then watched TV until it was time for him to go back to his place. We said we love each other and he went on his way. He did seem a bit frustrated at me. And his girlfriend simply mad. I wish it were more normalized to talk about our emotions and share these things without everyone getting uncomfortable and avoiding the topic. I imagine he won't feel comfortable sharing that again, especially considering it got really awkward and he realized what he did. I hope his girlfriend was more supportive once they left, and I hope he can get some closure at some point and potentially therapy. Are they actually mad at you for assuming, or are you inferring that they are? I feel like it might be best to check with them explicitly. Especially since this was all caused by assumptions and misinterpretation to begin with. It's a good warning to not make assumptions based on facial expressions. Particularly for autistic people. His actions showed he loved it. But yeah, if you didn't know he was struggling so much, that's a conversation worth having, maybe open by apologizing for assuming and for maybe missing anything else going on with him. You should reach out to him. Tell him you are really happy that it has made him happy, and that he should tell you if there's anything more you can do to improve things further. They may not even be mad with you. When someone says something like that, it likely just changed the atmosphere. Coming from someone autistic myself, I was frequently misunderstood growing up due to a lack of showing emotions growing up. Even when I thought I was glowing and having the time of my life, my mom says I look like I was being forced to swallow lemons. So it's quite possible he never knew that you weren't aware of his gratitude and love of that computer XX, and maybe the frustration isn't as it seems either. He could just be genuinely confused at the situation and why you would think, not know this X. Tell him you are so happy he didn't kill himself. And you love him more than anything. Don't let it be too awkward or try and ignore it. It's an amazing and positive statement. Apologize for being awkward when he said it. But just explain it shocked you. Love really is the answer to so many problems. I am on the spectrum. I have always struggled with gifts. It often feels like my genuine reaction isn't what people want it to be, but I don't know how to act in a way that they expect. I think that you just need to understand that he doesn't express his emotions the same way everybody else does. When I express my feelings, other people often think I'm unhappy when, to me, I'm just stating a fact. People who are on the spectrum often appreciate clear, blunt, straightforward communication. We struggle a bit with social nuance. And it's not always productive to read too far into what we say. I often find that I will say exactly what I mean, but others will misinterpret what I've said using social cues I didn't even know were there. I think that both you and your son would benefit from a clear, open conversation about his mental health. He's probably struggling, and feels like there's nobody for him to talk to. Him telling you what he told you sounds to me like his way of reaching out to form a connection, where he can feel more comfortable talking about his mental health to you. By misunderstanding him, you might be inadvertently pushing him away. However, it's also possible I've misinterpreted him. The only way for you to know is by asking him yourself. I don't think you've caused irreparable harm. I just think you could benefit from trying to understand your son a little bit better. He realized what he did. What did he do? You need to talk to your son more. Sometimes it's hard to read people, especially if they are different from you. Maybe you are reading this situation wrong too? I am sure you all have emotions to deal with right now. But can you call, text him? Maybe say sorry that you never realized he felt that way. You are glad that he is still around. That he is doing so well. That you love him so much and want to talk. Seems like he is not the best at communicating his feelings or what's going on inside of him. Maybe he needs you to be the one to reach out to him. Your foo is in not talking to him directly before. Learn from it and do it now. Did you say anything to him after that confession, or did you pretend like you didn't hear it and went back to business as usual? When people talk about suicide, please validate their feelings with some kind of response. Talk about it. Hug. Spend time with them. Get them help. Do something. Anything. A cry for help should be met with help, not indifference. Indifference is the opposite of love. You need to stop expecting certain things from your autistic child. We will never express things in the way you think is normal or are used to. To me it sounds like you don't understand his style of communication and keep trying to force your style in those moments. Your son needs therapy. We all do. Especially if he was thinking about killing himself. A therapist who specialized in high-functioning autism. You also probably need support from a group of adults that have high-functioning autistic kids. This can help educate you on how to respond to situations like this and how to approach him. Don't follow up your first assumption with another one. Ask him, speak to him, tell him how you feel. Not sure how that story ended with him and GF being mad at you. Edit. I guess I understand how. But why did you let it end like that? Son. I was in a dark place. I almost killed myself. Mom. That's awkward. Let's stop talking about it. WTF, Mom? I am autistic and very rarely show emotion. I never show happiness or sadness. Just because someone does not smile demonstratively or does not curve his mouth to cry does not mean that he does not feel. You can't expect everyone to behave like a neurotypical. I suspect you could tell your son was happy with the computer by the amount of time he spent with it. I don't see a problem. He was emotionally vulnerable with you and appreciative of a past kindness. Let it be. Also, your autistic son didn't express emotion overtly enough for you to recognize it? Color me shocked. Hey, autistic here. Just completely stop assuming his emotions based on facial expression. That's a good rule of thumb with autistic people in general. And also, please just ask him. Be very direct. I am feeling X. What are you feeling about X? I'm sorry for assuming. He will not be offended by you communicating with him in the only way he is able to understand. Even if he doesn't tell you 100% of everything. Even if he wasn't open 3 years ago. He's an adult now. Try again. I want my mom to try again. Also, as others have said, you're doing the same thing again that got you here in the first place. Assuming an autistic person is experiencing negative emotions based on their facial expressions. I can't tell ya how frustrating it is for people to assume I hate my gifts or am mad at them because of my natural resting face. This isn't meant to be read in an angry tone. I'm just being direct. As an autistic adult, I want to share the concept of delayed processing. I can't respond to gifts in the moment. I want to. I literally can't. I just need time to process, and the bigger the feelings, the harder it is to tolerate and process them in the moment. It's okay that you didn't understand. Now you do. Information is power. It will be okay. Tell him you're so glad he loved the computer and that he can always talk to you. That's enough.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.